Hi, my name is Mary Kirkendall, and I will be the moderator for the City Commission Forum. Thank you to those who are joining us and to all of the candidates. For City Commission, we have 4 candidates running for 2 seats. I'll introduce candidates in alphabetical order. We have Jolene Bourne, Zach Brooks, Lance Hanley, and Tim Reason. A few procedural notes. There will not be any video audio chatting privileges for the audience. We have 11 possible questions for the candidates with a maximum of 2 minutes per question per candidate, and we will most likely not get to all of the questions. The candidates will get an indication when there is about 15 seconds left to speak. We will begin in alphabetical order and then rotate the order with each following question. Candidates, please don't hesitate to ask me to repeat the question when your turn comes. Thank you to our sponsors, USD 491 Eudora Public Schools, Eudora Community Library, Eudora Douglas County Democrats, Becky Plate for publicity, Mike Campbell for the questions, and Noreen Spears for running the technology, and you might see her on occasion if she comes in. But we'll go ahead and get started with our first question, starting with Jolene Bourne. Would you please introduce yourself, tell us why you are running for City Commission, and offer any opening remarks?
I'm Jolene Bourne. I've lived in Eudora since 2010. I've been on the commission since 2013. I'm married and my children attend the Eudora School District. And why I'm running, there's so much I have left to accomplish that I want to see done. And I know we are getting close to accomplishing a lot of those things. The pedestrian bridge, sidewalk on Old K10, and then of course Nottingham, that we've been all working on very hard. When I'm not on the commission, I work for Douglas County. I'm in the criminal justice services program there, and I'm the mental health court specialist. I also am an adjunct professor at various colleges around the community, and I work as a travel agent for fun.
Amazing. Thank you, Jolene. Let's move to Zach Brooks, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zach Brooks. I've lived in Eudora since 1990. I came here with my parents in 3rd grade. I graduated from Eudora High School in 1999. I am married. I have 3 kids, 1 in each school. In my free time, I volunteer with the EABSA, the local baseball association, Cub Scouts. I help out with the boy troop in town with Boy Scouts and our new girl troop that is in town. And it sounds like here in the next couple of weeks, I'll be helping out with 4-H starting out. I work for a local electrical outfit as a electrical detailer during the day. And yeah, I just want to help the city where I can. So I like Nottingham, what's coming into town with all that. I want to make sure the right businesses are coming into town with that. Being from EABSA and the baseball stuff, I'd like to see some sports tournaments coming to town to help with some funding and that kind of stuff. So yeah, just happy to be here.
Thank you, Zach. We'll move to Lance.
My name is Lance Hanley. We moved here in 2012. Married, 3 boys, senior at Nebraska. My middle son just graduated last year, and then I have a sophomore in high school. I've been I'm on the EABSA board with Zach. I've been on the Eudora School Foundation board. I just feel this is kind of the next step for me. I work here in a business here in town. I kind of thought the commission could use a business perspective. So I thought I would just jump in and give it a shot.
Thank you, Lance. And finally, Tim.
Good evening. My name is Tim Reason. My wife and I moved here in 1997. We have 4 boys. 2 are off in college, 1 in the high school and 1 in the elementary school. I'm a firefighter with Lawrence Douglas County Fire Medical. I've been a city commissioner back when we were a city council back 12 years ago. I've continued that involvement and planning for the future. I've got a lot left in the tank as far as planning. My goal is the planning, 10, 20, 30 years down the road to make sure we have the goals that are set and then met. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Tim. We'll move to our second question. This one is a little bit long. So, as you know, the city government was heavily involved in the redevelopment of the Nottingham property. Our country has frequent debates about how involved government should be in the free market. Do you think the city was too involved in the Nottingham development, that its level of involvement was just about right, or the city should have been more involved, and why? And we'll start this question with Zach.
I like how the city was involved with it. I think at the beginning, it helped the school to get funding for certain items when the city bought the old Nottingham property. I think there were some times where we're looking for a developer and it didn't happen. The cards didn't lay right for that. And like anything else, you got to do it yourself if you have to. So the city took the opportunity and started developing it. And I think where we're at's in a good location right now with it. Looking at some of the meeting notes, it looks like getting ready to hire a broker and a project manager for it to find the right businesses to go in there. And I think that's a pretty good fit. Leave that kind of work to the professionals and leave running the city to the city professionals. So, thanks.
Thank you, Zach. We'll go to Lance.
I think it's a great thing that the city did to bring businesses to Nottingham. I mean, we need to figure out a way to bring in tax revenue that'll reduce the burden on citizens here. Best way to do that is to bring people into town and let them pay our tax burden instead of us here in Eudora citizens paying it. I think they did a great job of finding the right partners. I mean, everybody knows we needed a bigger gas station, another fast food option. I was really impressed with the whole bowling alley, miniature golf. I thought that was thinking outside the box. Thought that was a fantastic idea. It's a good way to bring people not in Eudora to Eudora. And, like Zach said earlier, we were talking about hopefully bringing more baseball and softball tournaments in. You have a bowling alley, they have a place to go in between their games. That'll just benefit the tax revenue for the city.
Thank you, Lance. We'll go to Tim.
I don't know. Of course, I enjoy the opportunities that we have from the Nottingham development. At the beginning, it was a challenge with initial developers, and the plans that we had in place weren't lining up. We've done a lot of studies and research with the county's investment also for anchor tenants, and that's when we brought in High Five as an anchor tenant, and that they're a piece. So Nottingham to us is a piece to that long-term growth opportunity. And the idea that as we plan out for the future, and Zach's mentioned it, Lance has mentioned it, the idea of sports coming into our community and having that long-term planning to have folks come to town, enjoy the community and the resources that we have, and then go back to their home and their tax dollars stay here with us. So the bumps that we had in the road as the planning and design went along with Nottingham have kind of gone away. And now, as we've said before, the broker that we have will bring in the assets to the community that they need. They're not going to hunt for things that the community doesn't show a need for. So we've got those pieces in place, and hopefully, it plans out to help us move on to that next level.
Thank you, Tim. And finally, Jolene.
Okay, so when we bought, or when they brought it to us, 2014, 2015, to say that I wasn't scared that we were getting into land development would be an understatement. Of course, it scared us. And then when the development companies weren't really turning out, that was discouraging. And we still had this bill to pay on this land that was purchased. So all that was, like I said, it was pretty scary. However, I would not recommend it for any city, but the city of Eudora and our team that we had in play did a phenomenal job and are doing a phenomenal job. When other cities were, losing businesses and losing revenue, we were getting businesses to sign on and say, yes, we will go to Eudora, all during a pandemic. That takes persistence, determination that our city showed. They put in place incentives to bring businesses in. And again, the right businesses. Nobody was looking for just, in the past, some of the other developers, they were just bringing in any business that they could bring in. And that wasn't a fit. So these are businesses that will bring entertainment, bring employment, and not just that, but like, if you could envision something for a city, who better to follow through with that vision than the city themselves? We're going to have areas at Village Green that people can sit and relax, enjoy maybe someone playing some music. And then we're going to have places around that you can go and eat. It's going to be a family-friendly environment, which is what Eudora really is about.
Thank you, Jolene. We'll move on to our next question. Do you favor a new library for Eudora? Please explain. What is your opinion of the current plan to expand the Eudora Community Library? And we'll start with Lance.
I feel that Eudora could use a new library. We really need to focus on something for the senior citizens to do. We need, I've heard a lot of people that we need more senior citizen programs, more things for them to do. That seems like a good fit for the library. I think a new library is a good idea. I'm not totally excited about raising property taxes or anything to help pay for the library. And I think that's just something we need to figure out how to reach a compromise so we don't have to put the burden of a new library on to the Eudora citizens.
Thank you. And Tim?
So the question is, are you in favor of a new library? Yes, I'm in favor of a new library. We've worked for several years with the past library board and the current library board and pushed through Senate Bill 59 that allowed the library to be its own self-sustaining entity, which allows them to do their fundraising options and to go out for bond initiatives. And with those bond initiatives, they need to be, responsible for those tax dollars. And the questions that we're still asking as city commissioners, I hope that the public asks about the bond initiative and the operating costs for the library. It's not just the library that comes in. We have a new shiny place for folks to gather, which is what I hope for. But it's also something that we can sustain and have an operating cost and viable partners within the community to help it. So the plan to expand is great. I think that the challenge that we have in the community is that if folks don't go to the library board meetings and if folks don't go to the library that there's now, then their opinion it's invalid when it comes time to vote. I think I would encourage folks to go to those library board meetings. And as we go through this next few months and appoint new library board members or appoint the current ones back, I would hope that folks would go in and ask the questions before it comes, because I would hate to see all the legwork and the time, effort, energy that they're spending of our collective tax dollars right now with the city and township. I would hate to see those go to a bond issue and have us vote on it and folks not be educated. I don't want to see it fail for the lack of education on the vote. So if folks show up, take the time to vote about it. I saw the plans for it the other night at the commission meeting, and it's a beautiful building. It's a great, collective space for everyone. And I'm glad there are folks that are willing to put forth the effort to do that.
Thank you. Jolene?
So our library is too small for the community. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree that it's in poor condition. Definitely needs renovating just from the building aspect, and then of course renovating from the technology aspect. Clearly, this is 2021, and technology, as you're seeing tonight, is leading everything we do. So yes, I'm in favor of the library. I would like it to be a library that fits the size of Eudora and future growth. I don't know if the current agenda is too ambitious. It's just a hair smaller than the Lawrence Library, is my understanding. And then, of course, the 3.5 mil approximation, anyway, I don't want to put exact numbers on this, of a tax increase. You know, I've been on the commission for a long time, and I have fought and argued that we don't want property taxes increased. We are already living in a very high property tax area, and to add 3.5 onto that again, you know, I'm leery of that. I'm not saying I'm against it necessarily. If I think the right cause and the right building and everything else fell into place perfectly, then okay. There's just a lot of thought process into this decision. And it's definitely, myself included, is going to be paying close attention to what goes on with the library board and seeing what they come up with.
Thank you. And finally, Zach.
I also do agree with the new library. I like the opportunities that the new library brings to the city. There's a lot of youth organizations in this town that need a place to meet in the evenings. With that new community room, that would be really nice. And I don't know what the plans are for the old library, but I'm assuming that would bring a lot of opportunity too for a place to meet. I know 4-H, Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, all those individuals are always needing a place to meet, and it would be nice to team up with those groups and work with them to see if they could use this space. And with the tax purpose and all that, I kind of agree with Tim on that. We need to get educated on what really is going to take place in this library. What's all the ins and outs of it. Go to these meetings, get your information before you just go vote just because of money. So thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to our next question. How could the City Commission support our active and vibrant senior citizens? And how would you propose to pay for those services? And we'll start with Tim.
So the question is, how can we support our vibrant and growing senior population? Historically, we've helped with the initial funding for the Senior Foundation, given some money through City Commission vote towards the senior. They changed their name. It used to be Eudora Senior Foundation. It's Senior Foundation of Eudora, I believe. But we've done things through Parks and Rec historically to help with programming for senior citizens, whether it be day trips or active trips to anywhere in the community using the city's van. Then we've brought in the opportunity for Meals on Wheels to the community, and then let them utilize the Parks and Rec building for a gathering space to eat those meals together rather than have a meal delivered to your home and eat alone. The Senior Wheels Initiative, we've talked about with the Senior Resource Center, and now we have a van in town that the Senior Resource Center uses, and we have active volunteers that can pick people up and take them to their appointments. Through long-term development plans, there's some land that's been purchased in town that we have worked with the developer with opportunities for a maintenance-free style home or townhome to give those people in the community, and it's growing in the fact that I think that our vibrant youth in town and the younger families that have kids, their grandparents and parents are coming now just to help support the kids in town. So we know that they're coming. We want, if you talk to Ruth about it, we want to be the Mecca for senior citizens in this part of the state. But the idea that we helped with the 50% tax abatement for the new center that's there, at the south edge of town, and then with their memory care unit, and the idea that we know that there are folks eventually that'll end up in those type of places, and we needed that as an opportunity for the community. But we're continuing to work with those in the community and listening to the meetings. You know, there was a meeting this last week that I attended that the seniors in the community have a voice. It's not just the youth and how we're driving soccer fields and those kind of things. We have to think of ways, you know, like the walking paths that we added around the baseball fields was meant for that, for folks that were able to go to the rec center and then go walk. So those programming, I think, we'll continue to do. I think it's important as we all age, hopefully.
Thank you. Jolene?
So yeah, I'm going to mention a lot of what Tim's already mentioned, but with the Meals on Wheels and the Senior Foundation, we have a lot of support in town for them. And the Parks and Recs has programming for them. They go and exercise together. They go play cards together. And then to be able to help and bring in a place like Homestead with the memory care and the assisted living. And then, of course, we support medical lodges as well. It keeps our aging population close to where their families are, what they're used to and what their heart is at. We don't want to have people leave Eudora to go stay in Lawrence, where they might not get visited as much. So I think keeping our community connected is very healthy for them, as well as, except for the youth below them.
Thank you. Zach?
I would agree with both of them. We need to keep the programs going at the rec center with the wellness programs. If do a travel trip day, card and game day, enrichment classes, if cooking, arts and crafts, or just anything to get them out and about. And I know my grandfather loves to play bridge, so if we'd work on a bridge tournament or something every Tuesday. And then, yeah, help with the Douglas County Senior Wheels. I did see they were looking for volunteers. So if there's anybody that would be interested in that, would be a great opportunity. But it also goes back to the library, the existing library. I still don't know what the plans are for that. With that moving to a new location, we'd have an empty building there that we could use for a senior center during the day. We could use it for a youth meeting organization at night. So just different ideas with the building library and how we could use that for all age groups of the city of Eudora.
Thank you. And finally, Lance.
Yeah, I really like a lot of the programs we have going on in town for the senior citizens. And like Zach said, we need to maybe add on a few more programs. Keep gearing if we can get to the kids involved with the elderly. I know that's always a big thing. The elderly really enjoy that. The biggest problem I see with Eudora is we just need to figure out a way to communicate the things we have that people can do. That seems to be the biggest obstacle, that there are things that the city commission has done that people just don't know about because it's so hard to communicate what we have and what people can do here in town.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next question. Do you favor a COVID vaccine mandate for the city's first responders? And we'll start with Jolene.
This is one of those so extremely hot topics. We all know it is. And do I expect mandation of it? I'm not a person that likes very much to be mandated. Now, I chose to be vaccinated because I chose that for what I thought was right for my family. I am fine with wearing a mask, even vaccinated. I have to wear a mask for work. I don't have any issues with that. It's a minor thing to me. So that level of mandation, I don't mind. I get concerned when we mandate employees to do things or risk employment. Gosh, I'm sorry, but that's such a hard question. I don't want to say absolutely not, because I know the science out there says, hey, these vaccines work. I get that, but I'm very strongly feel that mandation of things is maybe taking that power a little too far. I think we can incentivize. I think we can encourage, and that's okay. I mean, behavioral health court, we incentivize. If a client wants to get vaccine, their choice, and we're going to, clap for them and give them high fives, whatever we need, to just encouragement. But it's still their choice, and we don't shame them or shun them if they choose not to. And I don't want employees to be shamed or shunned or put in a different building because they chose not to get vaccinated. I think we have other options.
Thank you. And we'll move on to Zach.
I agree. There are several options. I would say that we keep working with the Douglas County Health Department, and just take the advice from the professionals that educated themselves on disease control, and just use their advice on what we need to do moving forward. I am far from a doctor, so I'm not going to say one way or the other on what we need to do and what individuals need to do. But I say we use our resources, use our professionals that deal with this stuff on a daily basis, and see what they advise us to do.
Thank you. And Lance.
I'm definitely not for a mandate to get vaccinated. That's the great thing about America. It's your choice. I personally am vaccinated. I got my booster yesterday. Mine was actually probably mandated because my wife is in the medical field. So I guess I was mandated to get vaccinated. But I'm not for forcing employees to get vaccinated. I have not told any of my employees they need to get vaccinated. It's totally their choice to do with their body what they want to do with their body. You just have to listen to the professionals and make your own decision for yourself and your family.
Thank you. And finally, Tim.
I think the challenge that we have with first responders and mandating, or ideas of mandating, is that our first responders are under the medical direction of a doctor, and that medical direction would kind of give them the guide to where they need to go. And I agree that the idea that we would mandate it is a challenge, and we worked through quite a few mandates and ideas that came down from the county, and we adapted and adopted those on our own. But the challenges that come with that are, as first responders, and our duty to act and work towards the community. The bulk of us that I know of are vaccinated because of that reason, because we care enough about the community, and we're giving back to them as public servants, and for us to go in and do something that would harm them in any way, we're trying to be the best we can to avoid it. I would be challenged by the idea to mandate something as a city commissioner, to mandate down, and the idea that we have quite a few professionals above us that are tasked with making those choices. As a county, that we get funding from the county for working with them, and we get funding from the state and the feds, and as those things come down, it affects us differently as a municipality. So it's a challenge. I'm hoping it doesn't come to that point, but those of us that are doing it and are responding are already doing our due diligence and making sure that we're protecting the community as much as we can.
Thank you. And we'll move on to our next question. Communities all over the nation are taking steps to lessen their carbon footprint. What steps has Eudora taken? What more do you think we could be done? And for this question, we will start with Zach.
Recycling is a big thing. Going back to my Boy Scout background, we went to a camp out and at the Manhattan Zoo, and one of the programs was recycling, and I've learned a lot from that. what you really need to do with a plastic bottle is crazy. You have to take the ring off, the cap off, the label off, and all that. We really need to educate our people on what needs to go in that recycling bin. We need to make sure that what goes in there can be recycled, and that whole bin does not get contaminated and thrown away due to the fact of one water bottle. So I would really like to educate the people of Eudora how to recycle properly. And if need be, I know at least at our house, our recycle bin gets full in the first week. If we need to recycle twice or every week, that would help too. But I think education is the big thing on recycling.
Thank you. And now Lance.
I just dovetail off of Zach. I think recycling is a great thing. When the city had everyone get all the recycling bins, I know, like Zach said, at my house, we have 2 recycling bins, and usually when recycling comes around, they're pretty full. He also does bring up a good point about educating what we can and can't recycle and how to do it correctly. Because I guess if we're not doing it correctly, what's the point of recycling if all that's just going to get thrown in the trash anyway because we didn't do it correctly? That's a very, very good point. That would be something that I would really like to just learn myself to make sure we're doing it correctly. And I think for most everyone in the city, I think the recycling is something that they would be behind, and there wouldn't be a big fight or argument about it.
Thank you. Tim?
So yeah, to kind of come off of that, we did mandate recycling in the community several years back. It wasn't terribly popular with everyone at first. I think that it's become a much more popular idea, and the option for single stream recycling, to where everything that's listed on the top of your can and the descriptions that they give you on the top of that can, at least they used to have it. I know ours still has it on the top. I'm not sure if the new ones do, but they gave an educated piece on how and what you were able to recycle. But that process helped fund the multi-million-dollar recycling that they had built at the edge of Lawrence. So they have an incredible facility that by us paying for it was a way to fix it. The other piece that we've done is we've worked through a policy on parallel generation for solar. We've worked through the ideas that allow residents to add solar to their community and then have parallel generation and earn back for that. There was a little pushback because we required that the homeowner has the insurance that covers back to the city if there's a mistake or problem with their home. So that had a little bit of pushback initially, but I would love to see the opportunity for more solar. And we have 3 solar companies that are in Douglas County that do a phenomenal job. The thing that I'd like to see is, we talk about sustainability for the city and the carbon footprint, is we need to work through that new solar plant that's potentially going to come south of town between Johnson and Douglas County, to educate ourselves on what they're doing, if that's going to generate anything for us, to continue to work with the hydroelectric plants and to be part of the partnerships and cooperatives that use those long-term sustainable things. But as we grow and build new buildings, to have encouraging actions and policies in place to give those new businesses a little bit of kickback for building solar into their programming.
Thank you. And finally, Jolene.
I first of all, I recycle. Let's just start there. I was not one of those commissioners in favor of mandating the recycling. I think it's great that we recycle. Again, it's the mandation part of my aspect on that. But the great part about being on a commission is that it is, we vote for that stuff. So I do like to see that more solar powered options. The fact that we are starting to get incentives for residents to have solar options. Electric cars are growing in the nation, obviously. So I'd like to see if we could putting charging stations at different, city buildings to encourage that. And then the city buildings that we have stake in, or any building in Eudora that we can help promote having green options. There are still a lot of grants and incentives out there for those who want to go greener when they build something. So if we can help research those, help get the information needed to, to win those grants, that's something I'm in support of.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next question. There's a lot of talk about wanting a new rec center and a much larger swimming pool, both indoor and outdoor. Do you favor these, and how would you propose to pay for them? And we'll start this one with Lance.
I do favor a much bigger rec center and swimming pool. The being on the EABSA board, I see a lot of use for the rec center from the children and the youth in Eudora. The swimming pool is extremely popular. I know a lot of people had issues with the hours the swimming pool was open this year. Something obviously we need to work on. It all goes back, and the big question is how to pay for all that. That's the big question that the commission has to decide, and that's the hardest thing to do in this town, is try to pay for something to better the community without raising taxes and making everyone upset. But I think a bigger rec center, better ball fields, I think the whole thing ties in together. I mean, I, for one, have seen some of the ball fields that I've gone to tournaments in, and Eudora has a better opportunity with the proximity to the highways and everything. And I think we just have a better opportunity to pull some people to this town versus them going to Paola or Olathe or wherever to go to their baseball, softball tournament. I just think we can bring that all here.
Thank you. And Tim.
So I guess part of what we talked about earlier was beyond Nottingham and the long-term plan and goals that we have. And part of what High Five was to bring to us is the option for sports tourism and a funding opportunity for additional growth of our Parks and Rec program internally. That idea that we have in place, the $4 million that was in place for capital improvement, and then we have the 3/4 cent sales tax that we all voted on that doesn't have a sunset to it, to be used long-term for Parks and Rec funding, are ways to add to the grant system or star bonds to build out the sports tourism, to give us the fields that we can use during the week for our own programming, and then gives us weekend opportunities to build that bringing in ball clubs. So we had the idea of 8 fields that are multi-use fields for long ball, for soccer, lacrosse, and then also to be multi-use, to be softball, baseball fields. So we did a survey years ago, and we've worked through that survey that said that the connectivity and trails was a high priority. And on that list, not knowing the cost of it, was an indoor pool. And we've had that as a priority, as a way, as we grow the sports tourism out and build an indoor facility for sports tourism, that comes along with that, is the retail offerings, the hotel offerings, that we use that building and that funding as a way to give us more opportunity within town. I hate to see kids drive on the South Lawrence Trafficway to go to an indoor pool to practice in Lawrence. It bothers me every day as a firefighter when I hear a wreck out there and not know if it's one of our community members or if it's someone that's going out of our community to use those kind of facilities. I want to keep that here. That's the idea of why we're growing the retail, is to grow our retail base, and modern manufacturing out at Saks is so that we can have a way to fund those kind of things that help support our community.
Thank you. Jolene?
I would love a bigger rec center. I think we've definitely outgrown that. Anybody who has been to the gymnasium on when they're trying to have volleyball practice and a pickleball game, or during the basketball rec center times, parents are standing and sitting anywhere and everywhere just to squeeze in. It is, and if you're talking about senior citizens, it's not senior friendly for them to be sitting on those bleachers in that aspect. So yes, we need a bigger rec center. We certainly have outgrown it. As far as the pool, I just want to start with getting it operating and getting the hours and getting people there. It is a little disheartening. We want the hours there. However, if people don't show up, that's a different story. So let's get them open, get people coming back to Eudora's pool. And then as far as a bigger pool and funding, if we don't have the private resources to fund something like that, it is going to have to go to a vote, and people will decide whether, we raise taxes to get a bigger pool. And as far as recreation as a whole, yes, we've had many discussions about how we can expand our recreation. I, every weekend, am going away to a softball tournament. Some of these places that we are playing in should not be open. So I don't want that experience for us. It's got to be done the right way. It's got to be done to where they go, oh gosh, we played at that tournament in Eudora and it was wonderful. Instead of, oh gosh, we played at that tournament and can we please not go back there again? I've been in both of those situations and I want us to be the prior one. So with all the businesses coming in and the ideas that we currently have on the commission to get funding that is not raising taxes, that's my goal. And it is certainly in the works.
Thank you. And finally, Zach.
I do like the idea of a bigger rec center, indoor pool. I could see on a Saturday afternoon in the winter, a family would go to the indoor pool. Once they're done at the pool, they go to High Five and spend the afternoon there also, or hit Wendy's or Casey's, get gas on the way out. And I think it all corresponds with each other. If we build these places or get these facilities where kids want to go to spend their Saturday, then the families will spend their money in our town. I'm the same way with Jolene. I go to softball tournaments every other weekend, and there's thousands of people there, and the right facility is what we do need. But those people, they spend gas. They got to get gas somewhere. They got to get food somewhere. There's a lot of opportunity for these to have nice fields and bring in more people to our town.
Thank you. And to wrap up our time together, would you all please tell us a specific goal you would like to accomplish as a Eudora City Commissioner and offer us any closing remarks? And we'll start with Tim. Tim, you're on.
Sorry, yeah, closing remarks and any goals that I have. Closing remarks is I would just, the four folks that are here, the other three, I appreciate everything they do and give back to our community. We've got a group of candidates this time that are the ones that I say we need for long-term care of our community. We have, a Cub Scout director. We've got people involved with baseball, softball association. Lance is investing his time in a grocery store that, he battles with the challenges of small town grocery store. And I appreciate his opportunities every day that he brings to us. Jolene has been on the commission, has been part of these long-term planning. My goals are to continue down that long-term path. What's it going to look like in 20 or 30 years? The idea that we've invested in land for a water treatment plant, the idea that we're investing in long-term sports tourism stuff are things that I haven't finished yet that I want to be part of. I enjoy the opportunity. I put my heart into this community. I've volunteered on the fire department, and I've been here as the city commissioner for 12 years. So I've got 21 years of service as a volunteer to the community. And I don't want to see an end to it. This is a community that we chose to come to raise our family. We chose to stay here to raise our family. And I think that says a lot about the people that are here, that are on city commission, that are going for school board, is they have long-term. I want my kids to know that Eudora was an incredible place as they grew up and a place to bring their kids back to. My goals have been the same throughout. Is I don't have an agenda, except for my agenda is the long-term positive outlook for the community. I want Eudora to always be the one that shows up on the map. And as we grow and work through the problems and challenges we've had in the past with growth, we are now taking steps to make sure that the next group of commissioners, the next generation that comes in to run as commissioners, they aren't saying, why did they make that choice? It's a vision and a plan that's been in place that I've enjoyed serving the community for.
Thank you, Mayor Reason. And Jolene?
Okay, first I wanted to correct something I said earlier with the library. It is not the size of Lawrence by any means. It was close to their expansion size. So I wanted to clarify that. And the best part about living in a democracy is we will get to vote on that. Just be educated when we vote. And I will definitely be educating myself further. With that in mind, the library and everything that we have going on in Eudora, there's going to be some really hard choices coming up. We have infrastructure that needs repaired still, as we've been working on it, but it's still going to be there. We are working on revitalizing the city, and of course, we're working on growing the city. But with all of that, we can't grow a city if we have high tax burden. So as I have been for the last 8 years, trying very hard to make sure we do not raise our taxes anymore, because we are one of the higher ones. I also want to see, again, I have a lot of things I want to see accomplished, and we are so close. And a changing up could, well, you just never know what's going to happen when you have changes. So I want to continue to be on this commission to make sure the things we have going forward continue to go forward. And of course, I want to make sure Eudora stays a place where everybody can be together and we can have a place that we want to work in, we want to live in, and of course, the place we want to play in. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bourne. And we'll go to Zach.
My goals would be finding the right businesses for the Nottingham project, make sure that we don't take away from the existing businesses that we already have in town. We don't need to be doubling up on certain items. So yeah, I want to make sure we bring the right businesses to town, not take away from what's already here. I want to work more with the youth organizations, make sure they have a voice in this town so they can be heard and what needs they have. And I would really like the sports complex to go and get those people here to visit our town. I like Eudora due to the fact it is a small town. I had that small town feel when I came here in 1990 from Topeka. It was still crazy. There was 2 schools in this town. Both of them one had middle school and high school in it. I like that small town feel. And I just want Eudora to be unique and not, I want that small town feel without the big town feel to it. So thanks.
Thank you, Zach. And we'll finish with Lance.
I think after listening to this tonight, we have, 4 people running that have quite similar ideas and goals for Eudora, but, this all going to come down to the citizens educating themselves and deciding what they want and going out and voting for it. If some mill levy comes up that we need to do a bond or something, nobody can complain if you don't go out and vote for it and educate yourself about what it's for, what it's going to cost, and you got to go out and vote for it. It doesn't do any good to complain afterwards if you sat at home and didn't cast your vote. I'm with Zach on the businesses in Nottingham. I don't want to pirate off what we already have. Some of that might be self-serving for where I work, but I don't want us putting in a pizza joint across the street, because I don't know if most people understand how much Gambino's really does for this community, how much money they donate to this community. And I want to make sure we're not cannibalizing off of them, because they are invested here. They do spend a lot of money here. They do give back. And that's one of my main focuses.
Thank you, Lance. Thank you, everyone. It's now about time to move on to the school board forum. Thank you to all who attended this session and to our candidates, Jolene Bourne, Zach Brooks, Lance Hanley, Tim Reason, for their interest and commitment to serving our community. Thanks again to our sponsors, Eudora Public Schools, Eudora Community Library, Eudora Douglas County Democrats, Becky Plate, Mike Campbell, and Noreen Spears. A reminder about voting dates: October 13th, today. Advanced voting begins by mail. Advanced voting in person begins October 30th, and November 2nd is the general election.